Yo, yo, yo. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, let me turn that off. All right, let's just get straight into it. I got some good notes from yesterday. I loosely remember where we were at, and I was sitting there thinking about it last night, and man, this is gonna be full. I'm gonna have a lot to analyze when I'm done, because we haven't even gotten to his observations yet. Uh, Hopefully the audio is good. I think it's good now.
To get you through, but I think at the end of the day, you're the person who gets through it. Right? I mean, they can say pain is weakness leaving the body, but they can say whatever they want to, and it may help you psychologically for a time, but at the end of the day, you're the one that did it. They can't do it for you. They can say whatever the fuck they want to trick you or push you, but you're the one who has to do it, and you're the one who did do it, which is awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it was like being in the military?
There was. I'll summarize it as there's a lot of boring times, a lot of time where you're literally sitting around and there is nothing going on. I want to be 100% straight here. I didn't spend any time in the Middle East. I haven't seen.
Wait, that's actually very relevant to what I was thinking about slash listening to. Actually, you can see it here. I was listening to this podcast last night. He was talking about boredom. Well, at least in one part of him. Uh, what was I specifically gonna mention? Oh yes. Oh, okay. This is definitely gonna be a test. Um, I find it interesting that what was it? What was the military like? That was a question.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting idea too, because I think the point is that, they'll say anything to get you through, but I think at the end of the day, you're the person who gets through it. Right? I mean, they can say pain is weakness leaving the body, but they can say whatever they want to, and it may help you psychologically
They could
for a
say
time, but
whatever
at
they
the end
want
of the
to.
day, you're the one that did it. They can't do it for you. They can say whatever the fuck they want to trick you or push you, but you're the one who has to do it, and you're the one who did do it, which is awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it was like being in the military?
What was it like being in the military? First thing I uploaded. Let me save this real quick. Okay. We're good. What in the first thing that came to his mind was the amount of work experience there. I hope slash assume he means literally having nothing to do besides be with himself and a few other people around them. Because if he means boredom as in like being on his phone or like trying to suppress that boredom with like busy work, then that kind of defeats my purpose. But we're gonna assume he means like literally not having anything to do. That means his brain and mind had a lot of time to process emotions and process like internal wounds, let's say, or like just things that need to be processed. Processing, contemplation, and emotional processing, contemplation, and just being with himself in general. Pretty massive problem that I, well, that, yeah, that I and a lot of my peers in this generation is that, I don't know, we are bored. We default to solving that internal problem with external solutions, aka our phone technology in general. Especially, uh, I especially see this. I especially, oh, but just I especially see this at this. I especially see this at the job, I guess. The job that we got. It's very simple and easy, but kills the people around me is the amount of boredom that's difficult to avoid. I should be able to extend that later. Yeah, I should be able to extend that later. But yeah, did I finish my thought on that? Honestly, mind but train to tolerate or which leads to a focused mind.
There was
Oh, I hope you can't hear that. Yeah, no. I don't think you could hear it. Maybe you could hear it when I'm talking, but my dog is barking pretty loud.
I'll summarize it as there's a lot of boring times, a lot of time where you're literally sitting around and there is nothing going on. I want to be 100% straight here. I didn't spend any time in the Middle East. I haven't seen any combat. I spent most of my time in Southeast Asia. I speak Indonesian as a linguist, and I spent most of my time in training and exercises in Australia. So for me, it was mostly very boring, sitting around, tedious times, or very physically demanding, painful times on my body.
That's actually really interesting because I don't really have like an idea to share there, but it's more like I really wonder what it's like to obsessive. Well, is it obsessive? Constantly train but never be placed in the situation you're actually training for. Yeah, I wonder what that's like. The only word that comes to my mind is maybe guilt. Guilt. Maybe shown. This is applicable for the people, specifically those who get obsessed with practice, but never perform. For all kinds of reasons. Psychological.
Where either I was in charge of people that I had to push them through situations that were quite difficult. I was mostly in a leadership role for most of my time in the military, where I was like either in charge of soldiers or training people, and it was probably, I didn't like a lot of it, but I did it because I know a lot of people were very proud of me doing it. Like my mom or dad, whenever I called them up and I was like, like I'm, thinking about ending in a year or so, they'd be like, oh, but it's a stable job. It pays really well. You get to see the world. And I'm like, yeah, it does. But you don't get to see, fear of not having a weekend just because it's, your time to do guard duty that they decide to give it to you on a Friday or something like that. There's a lot of really, really stressful times in the military. And I think that's why a lot of people come out of the military like exhausted, looking 100 years older, and then
Yeah,
also
that's
missing
scary.
the friendships and the camaraderie of it because they always had their mates there. Whereas when you leave, it's a lot harder. So it's a very, very difficult place. It's not
And
for everyone.
what was it like to leave?
It was like I'd had a constant pressure on my shoulders for a long time and it was finally off.
What was that pressure?
Well, I would argue a weight for a majority of the time in the career, but like in all seriousness, I always felt like someone was ready to just tell me off for something or to send me away somewhere or just full control over my life. I
Yeah. That's interesting. Mhm. I guess I would say once he was in the military or like more solidified, once his position was more solidified, it started to feel like he had to maybe keep up a performance or he had to stay in line, maybe make sure he stayed in line.
friendships and the camaraderie of it because they always had their mates there. Whereas when you leave, it's a lot harder. So it's a very, very difficult place. It's not
And
for everyone.
what was it like to leave?
It was like I'd had a constant pressure on my shoulders for a long time and it was finally off.
What was that pressure?
Well, I would argue a weight for a
What was the constant pressure on your shoulders while in the military? Sounds like he had an all-seeing eye following him.
majority of the time in the career. But like in all seriousness, I always felt like someone was ready to just tell me off for something or
Let's say blind or numb to the positive that hyper vigilant to mistakes or shortcomings. This is the lived experience of, I want to say tyrant, but not really. It's more of like it's like a tyrant that doesn't get his hands dirty. Hmm. I guess you could say this is maybe. This hypothesis, but maybe. This is the lived experience of not having autonomy one's life or outsourcing your autonomy someone else. Lack of control slash direction of your own life. Let's say.
To send me away somewhere or just full control over my life. I quit the army, and my girlfriend at the time, is now my wife. She knew I was literally just quitting, and I had no job lined up. I was going to just put myself back into society and just forget about a lot of the experiences that I'd been through, that had just really been
What did he see right there? I'm confused.
full control over my life. I quit the army, and my girlfriend at the time, is now my wife. She knew I was literally just quitting, and I had no job lined up. I was going to just put myself back into society and just forget.
I want to say he made an expression from him saying quitting, because we have the advantage of like foresight to see that his decision led him to something better. But I guess in that moment, and maybe even now, he perceives the decision of leaving the military as, in the end, quote unquote, leaving or quitting. But I'm like, I understand. Yeah, I understand people have like a negative connotation with quitting. So I would just have to understand how he's like using that word.
About a lot of the experiences that I'd been through, that I just to just put myself back into society and just forget about a lot of the experiences that I'd been through, that I just
He did
a
that
lot of the
before.
experiences that I'd been through,
Oh,
that I ended
forgot.
up. I was going to just put myself back into society and just forget about a lot of the experiences that I'd been through, that had just really been hard on me.
So fast, let me ask you a question. You know, it's so interesting because you use the word quit. I just quit
Oh
the
yeah.
army. The interesting thing is that I can almost envision quitting is not like, I think what would have been quitting, like spiritually quitting, would have been to stay. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
That sometimes quitting is like, that's the hard thing. Like, because at some point,
I don't know. I guess sometimes quitting is the hard thing. And staying is quitting. Makes sense. want to have the tools / abilities to make more informed / better decisions.
You know, staying in the life that you've become comfortable in.
Oh yeah. Did he say it was comfortable? I don't know.
A stable job, good pay, kind of respectable, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Like walking away from that is actually the hard thing. And I'm also hearing kind of a common thread here, which is that like
But we talked about comfort zone and being able to let outside of it and take action without the reward as a motivator. Driver. Earlier, it seems like military became Presley's it became his comfort zone. And he made the hard decision to leave without much support, I guess. Much stable support. AKA leap of faith. However, I find it interesting because it seems like it was driven by running away rather than running towards.
You know, in your corporal's office, you also, by staying, you actually walked away from something. You walked away from a life of comfort, right? You could have pieced out, could have taken the easy road, and you walked away from the easy road. And oddly enough, what I'm hearing about, even though you use the word quit, is that you actually walked away from stability, security, something you had known without anything in place. That actually sounds like it sounds hard, not easy.
What do you say? Stability
in place. Stability, security, something you had known.
and stability, security, they be within his comfort zone, but his language suggests that he wasn't focused on that. His mind wasn't focused on that. Was more focused the fear surrounding that of control, autonomy. So this is an inverse analogy from the fire. Inverse analogy from the fire one used. It's more like where everyone sees a garden. Oh my gosh, I forgot how to spell it. Ah, beautiful garden. Pestily sees the snake. Or also autonomy that comes with staying in the garden and come from lived experience is telling you doesn't equal understanding. Okay. I think that's adequate.
Without anything in place.
Hmm.
That actually sounds like it sounds hard, not easy.
Yeah, most people thought I'd go back, and like a large amount of people thought I'd be back in the military.
And why did they think that?
I'm very passionate about anything I do, so I took a lot of pride in the work that I did in the military. I'd lined up a position where I would actually be a Chinese translator as well, where I'd learn Chinese, and I was trying to line up a few things that would probably get me into like say embassy positions later on in my career. Like I wasn't going to just be sitting down the bottom runs like forever. I actually was pretty ambitious. So everyone had always seen how hardworking and passionate I was about the job. But as soon as I quit or as soon as I resigned and I went into a new path and I could put my passion into something else, well, I think the evidence is clear how when I really am passionate about something, how far I can take it. So
The evidence
I
is
think the
clear.
military, if anything, was actually holding me back on my potential more than anything.
And
That's
how did
fair.
you come to decide to leave?
I had an argument with the CO, which was pretty much the deciding factor. I was meant to be studying Chinese in Melbourne that year, and due to controls from like career management, they stuffed up, and I got pushed back 1 year. And so then I had to resubmit the form the following year. Then I did it as soon as I started the year, and the CO didn't approve it. And I said, "Why didn't you approve it?" And he says, "You're wearing an infantry hat badge. You're an infantry soldier for life." And I'm like, I'm not going to be
Crazy.
treated like that anymore. I'd been putting up with that kind of BS for a long time, and I was like, I'm going to do anything else. And then as soon as I resigned and put my discharge paperwork in, 2 months later, I had a posting order saying that I'm going to Melbourne to do Chinese studies, and I said, "Nope, I've made my decision. I'm going." So
He's making a lot of wise
Can I
decisions.
process that for a second?
yep.
Pest, I when you tell these stories, I think about moments from my own life. Um, and it's interesting. I think, some people talk about success as taking advantage of good opportunities.
Some say success is about taking advantage of good.
My experience has been that success is walking away from good.
Why success is about walking away from.
Good opportunities.
Okay.
When they give you everything that you want to, being able to say, you know what? No, thank you. I'm going to do it my own way. It's interesting. I have a story very much like your corporal story too. But wow, that's impressive, man. So what would you when they gave you that paperwork or gave you the option to go study Chinese in Melbourne, do you remember how you felt?
I expected it. I expected it. They called me into the battalion HQ, and they said, "We've got your posting order here, and we've got your discharge paper. Do you want to throw your discharge paper out now that we've got your posting order?" And I said no. But it wasn't the big bosses that were telling me that. That was the clerks. But I walked straight out, and I was just like, "That's so typical." Like I knew that was going to happen because
What's typical about that?
so the military what they do is it's a numbers game. It's all about they need to tick all their quotas, all their boxes for promotions and their career progressions. So for the CO, for him, it's about the first thing he needs to do is get so many people through all their, all the officers need to get all their quotas done for the year, et cetera, and it trickles down, right? And then the worst thing they can have is low retention rate. So first thing they want to do is they want to tick all their boxes. So they need as many soldiers to do that. But then the worst thing after that is to, lose their corporals, because it's hard to get good corporals. I consider myself a good corporal when I was one.
Sure.
So, and so then me leaving the military after 8 years and due for promotion and stuff, it's just, it's just so easy for them to go, oh, we'll just, now that, he's called our bluff, we'll just do that. So I I didn't fully expect it, but I said I thought there was a pretty high chance that it was
Yeah.
actually going to happen.
And why didn't you take the posting?
I'm kind of the person that when they make their decision to do something and start a new thing, I'm going to go for the new thing and new exciting route of fishing and computer games.
Can you help me understand what decision you made when your CEO denied your application?
I called up my girlfriend and said the CEO didn't approve it, and in the past when they've done that, they generally don't they don't post you once the CEO says no. So I said to her, I'm not going to stay in the infantry any longer. My shoulders are cooked. Like legitimately, my shoulders are just destroyed, and I'm not going to break my back for in the infantry. If I do for a core transfer, that could take a year, and that's if it even happens. I'm not going to. I didn't want to stick around with that anymore. I wanted to move into intelligence, something using my head instead of my body, and so I said that I'll try something new, and we just started a plan. Which at that point, she didn't even have a job, or she was working part time. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to quit. So we need to like start applying for jobs together. And she got a really good job. And yeah, we just went with it.
Sounds like you were, like you said, the weight on your back. It sounds like control. Like it sounds like you were tired of not having control over where your life went.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
And so what was it like after you left?
It was a little bit. I would always want to work. Like I'm not the kind of person that can just lay on the couch for a couple of days. Like maybe 1 or 2 days, but the third day I'm like, I need to do something. So I was like trying to find little odd jobs to do to help people out. If anyone needed a hand with anything, I went back to Victoria just for a week to build a retaining wall for my mum. Like whatever I could do, I would just do. But in the other times, I'd either be playing computer games to
There's a lot
find
of
friends,
talking
or I
outside my
went fishing.
door, so I'm just leaving my mic muted while
Tell me
watching
about
this.
fishing.
It's really good. For me, I'm not a very good fisherman. I want to be really clear right now. I'm not a good fisherman at all. I just like the idea that I'm out in the water on a boat. I can just relax. It's like freedom. Like there's nothing around, and I can. Who knows what's going to come up? I could get, you know, and I can. Who knows what's going to come up? I could get you know, it's like freedom. We're on a boat. I can just relax at all. I just like the idea that I'm not a very good fisherman. I want to be really clear right now. I'm not a good fisherman at all. I just like the idea that I'm out in the water on a boat. I can just relax. It's like freedom. Like there's nothing around. And I can, who knows what's going to come up? I could get,
Yeah, this is like him completely making the outcome irrelevant. That's an interesting twist on the definition, by the way, that I got from John Vervaeke of bullshit. It's basically making truth irrelevant. So in this case, let me actually write that down because that's interesting. It's making factors. True. I like that. That's pretty nice.
you know, like some
Oh, and I should say framing instead of making.
massive tuna, or I could get like a little kind of shitty, bait fish kind of thing. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just about the adventure and fun of being out there.
Pest, I'm once again noticing, I'm hearing you say a lot of things that make me think that we're fundamentally different people. So when you say, after 2 or 3 days of laying around on the couch, I need to get up and do something. Whereas in my experience, 2 or 3 days is just getting started.
Forced relaxation is hard for me. Like my mind is always ticking.
Yeah. I have a kind of random question. Have you ever wondered whether you have like ADD?
No, not really.
Yeah, interesting. So it sounds like you kind of get restless and bored easily.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
I feel like I have a lot of ideas in my head, and I've gotten better at writing them down. I used to when I started streaming, I used to have a notebook and pen right next to me.
I really respect that he stayed silent there
I feel like I have a lot of ideas in
because
my
you gave
head.
him time to. You gave him time to like to bleed. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure. Let me make sure the mic is actually picking me up because I'm over here laying back.
Like you kind of get restless and bored easily.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
I feel like I have a lot of ideas in my head, and I've gotten better at writing them down. I used to when I started streaming, I used to have a notebook and pen right next to me, and I used to write everything physically down. But now I use a program instead. Um, but I'm the kind of person who, like I just like my most creative periods are like when I'm laying in bed in the shower, just doing those really mundane me like I got an exercise bike behind me. Like when I'm on the bike, like when I'm just zoned out, that's when like my head's just going crazy with all these random ideas. And then when I'm in work mode, it's just like go go go. So
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to pull certain. I think there are a couple of important principles here about, idleness of the mind, spending time in nature, how to go. So, like, here's just one tidbit, for example. So, I think a lot of people, once again, what I'm envisioning, Pest, is that as people hear this conversation, I find themselves thinking more and more, or I find myself thinking, if I were them, thinking that, oh, this guy's like, I'm just different from him. I'm not someone that can go. My problem is that I can't go. My problem is that I go, and then the other three goes don't happen. I stop. It's not go
Go, go,
go.
go.
It's go stop. And so and the more that you kind of speak about the way that your mind functions, I'm thinking that like your solutions are not going to work for them because you're just a different kind of person. They can get behind some things, like they're bored easily too. They also get curious. I think they also have a lot of thoughts in their head. But all that ever stays is thoughts in the head. So how do you get from being disorganized and having a bunch of thoughts to going? Do you have a sense of that?
I I know exactly everything you're saying. Is the question, how do I make these thoughts go into action?
Yes.
Ironically, I just found myself get bored a second ago. It's been an hour though. I feel like I got enough low key, but I want to make music now. Yeah, I might stop it now because I don't know if streaming, like if I could actually stream FL Studio. But yeah, I'm gonna probably finish this later today.